Hello. Hi, everyone. Well, seems like we're going to be a very small group of people, and we're going to talk about, I hope it's not too boring. For me, this is things we have been working with pretty much every day, but feel free if you have any questions you want to ask, and you can just interact. So a quick introduction by myself. My name is Victoria. I am the VP of BD at Bitmark Exchange. So we are a centralized exchange, and well, today's topic, I think a lot of people already know, we're going to talk about something about DeFi and CeFi. So before we jump into it, a quick introduction about us. We are a centralized exchange, and overall we have like 5 million users, and majority of them is actually in US. Europe, we have roughly 20%, and Asia, we have also 40%. So we have been growing really fast. Overall, it's ranking 12. And we do have multiple products available, but that is now the major thing we're going to discuss today. So first thing first, I'm assuming a lot of people here is already participating in the Web3 for quite a bit. So if you are in the space less than a year, please raise your hand. Okay, If you have any questions, feel free to interact. So first thing, what is DeFi and CeFi? So the best description, I would say, for CeFi is centralized finance, and the best example will be banks, or all kind of current financial institutions, besides like investment banks, hedge funds, PEs. We all consider this as a centralized finance. And DeFi is literally just come out because of blockchain technologies. And we can use the open source and to do the cross-chain transactions. And all of these were directly linked to the digital assets, so BTC, ETH, and the other tokens. And for the current CeFis, we do see a lot of great opportunities and also some problems. For the pros, I would say the user base is very large. It's from Web 2. It's not something new. It has been existed for many, many years. There's a large use case, and it's a very mature systems. So for example, if I'm going to the bank, I want to make a deposit, or I want to wire money for my friend, there's always people there. So I don't have to go through all the hustles. I know people will be there to support me if something happens, something wrong, and they'll also be there to help me to correct all the errors. The risk is also very low because this is not something new. This existed for many, many years. So the customer service is also there. But for DeFi, they basically cut off all the middlemen. So the middlemen, I wouldn't say bank is necessary, but anyone in between, if I want to make a transaction from me to my friend over here, anyone in between will consider as a middleman. It's all get cut off because DeFi. And the interest rate for the CeFi, the downside, there's a drawbacks. And also, there's a lot of middlemen in between, and the interest rate is low. Basically, if you realize how much money you deposit into a bank, and the interest rate you're earning every year is kind of equal to nothing. So that is another thing people don't like CeFi these days. Also, the processing time is longer. Like, I would say before, like way before, if I want to do international wire transfers, it's gonna take at least 5 business days. And for now, because everything is mobile, and it's just too much for us. And even if it's for like a domestic wire transfers, I don't know how long it takes in Europe, but majorly in the US, it will take at least 1 business day, sometimes 1 to 3 business days. It's quite long, I would say. And every time if a person wants to open a bank account, they're gonna do the credit card check. They wanna see your whole profiles, who you are, if you have a criminal background, or you have any bankruptcy histories, or your credit score is low. So it's not just the banks. If you, for example, you want to open a brokerage account, you want to do maybe buying some equities or bond, and they will require a lot of information, credentials directly with yourself. They want to make sure you have the credibilities or you have the capacities to be able to interact all of these financial products. And the last, it's not accessible for a larger group of people who doesn't have a bank account. Sometimes if war happens, natural disaster happens, people lost their IDs. Technically at that point, there's no way I can prove I am myself. So if I want to interact with any financial institutions, it's kind of impossible. They will always require your IDs, your proof of address, and something like this. So because of blockchains, and we now have a new definition about DeFi. It's by word, it's decentralized finance. And what that means, so we're basically we're using the blockchain technology to making the transactions faster and easier. And sometimes you as an individual, you can participate in all of these lending protocols or DeFi protocols. So you have the voting rights, you have the government right, you can participate in all the transactions or decisions they're trying to make. And basically at this point, the users are the custodians. And like if somebody already set up an account with the DeFi protocols, it's very instant. You don't have to like put like your IDs over there, your passport, so there's no technical credit checks. And the processing time is 24/7. I think that's the major thing. All the traditional finance has been looking into blockchain these days because we no longer looking at the like 9 to 4, the business hours or the stock market hours, and they'll be able to process your transactions 24/7 basically. And it's way much faster. So if I want to send the money from my wallet to your wallet, I would say average will take a minute, sometimes even faster. Sometimes it can take longer if the traffic is too high on chain. But normally, this is happen instant. And we basically cut all the middlemen. Like, it's a direct advantage compared with CEFI. But the downside, so because it's open source, so there's no, it's not easy to use. So if, for example, I want maybe my mom or my grandparents want to open a DeFi or interact with the wallet, you have to go through all the hustles. Like, you have to open your account, you basically set up a wallet address, and you have to tell them you have to put some ETH into the wallet so you'll be able to do all of these transactions. If without the ETH, basically your wallet is just a dumb wallet. So from the user perspective, it's not really user-friendly for non-crypto, basically level 0 or entry-level people who want to participate. The education cost, I would say, is higher. But once you go through this, you understand how it works, and it's easy. And because this entire industry is still relatively new, and I don't really see any particular or something trustworthy as an insurance company to be able to be there. Even I think majority of people here are using MetaMask, even myself. But I cannot guarantee if something happens or something goes wrong, I can find somebody to help me to retrieve the asset, or they can help me to reset anything. Everything will be rely on me. Well, this is the beauty of decentralized because there's no middleman. But at the same time, you won't have the benefit of the centralized services because there's no support or there's no customer services. At the same time, so because there's no all of these, the risk is a little bit higher. So what's the main difference compared to DeFi and CeFi? As we already mentioned, a couple of pros and cons on both sectors. You can see there's a common ground for all of these. We're trying to processing the current financial, any interactions, make it easier, more convenient, more accessible. But at the same time, we cannot make it as simple as that much. You still have to go through different stages and to get what you really want. They're common, especially we always talk about the processing times. We're talking about the KYCs, compliance. We're talking about the risk. All of these is still the major differences between the CeFi and DeFi. Is this going to be a forever problem? I don't think so. I already see a lot of protocols has improved. So this is a typical centralized exchange protocol will look like. You will see the order books, you see the chart. You basically see what is on the debt, how much order has been placed on the order books, and you can see how your order get filled. You can put market order, limit order, whatever how you want to do it. So you can control your entire trade. But I think Uniswap is still the well-adapted and most people will use it. This is how the interface for Uniswap. It's very simple. You just connect your wallet and you want to find the token you want to swap and you just did it. So there have some improvement since Uniswap existed day one. We see they starting to have more functions and more like tools to centralized services be able to provide the product and the service, you are be able to get it. Like in the future, I already see like some use case they already adapt the older books. I think that is one of the most important thing for people want to use the apps to trying to buying or selling anything. You want to see the spread. I don't want to buying something, but also I'm paying no transaction fee, but I'm actually paying the spread, which means you can't see how good the volatility it is. So sometimes you're overpaying. So what we're thinking about the next of CEFI and DeFi. Well, this is a very interesting topic, so we have been talking for almost a year. Like, I'm sure a lot of people here has been saying like what is currently happening with centralized services. Binance US, Ripple, Celsius, and all of these has been happening in the past. So I won't say this is impossible, but it's actually possible. So people starting to losing confidence about are we actually trusting all of these centralized services? They might just went down, like what happened to FTX is basically the second largest exchange, they just went off the ground for 2 days. So is this gonna keep happening? We don't know. But however, we see like people questioning about is actually centralized services is trustworthy. And are we actually, our asset gave it to somebody else is safe? We've seen all of these questions has been raised. But however, is a DeFi is absolute solutions? Not today. We're still expecting there's more functions, more features come out to be able to fill the gaps. So from my perspective, well, a little bit background by myself. I used to work for bankings, financial institutions back in 2015 for almost 3 years. So we see all of these products in the past. For us, these are not new. It just need to have time to improve. And we are thinking like maybe in the nearly future, we will have something hybrid. You will have all the benefits as you're using a centralized services, but at the same time, we can't just like decentralize as much as possible, but I can guarantee my asset is safe. And I'm now actually putting my tokens or NFTs on somebody else's hand. If something happens, I'm still be able to have the full control. So I think like this is what I'm hoping. I hope this is actually gonna happen. Like a hybrid environment. You will get the services, but also you gain all the benefits. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I want to talk about today. I know it's a little bit boring, and it's like almost 4 p.m. on the first day. Anyone have any questions?
If you have a question, please raise your hand. I will give you a microphone.
Anything?
If no questions, thank you very much.
Well, I'm surprised I'm actually make the presentation very clear. So nobody have questions. That's great. Thank you so much.